Welcome to the Nameless Blog. I'm your host, Dr. Berkeley, aka Kyle S. Berkeley, aka KB, KB Trap Guy with a Dad Bod, aka Slope the Pisces, Raw Slope, um, and many other nicknames that we will not talk about publicly. um, Anywho, we are glad to be here this week on the Nameless Blog. By we, I'm talking about myself. I'm talking about Bold Print Publishing. I'm talking about the Bold Print Publishing staff. We're going to have a guest on today. This is the very first guest of the Nameless Blog. Hopefully, won't be the last. I know Odessa Rose and I have talked about coming on to this. I've talked to other people like Devin Walker, et cetera, about coming onto the show. So more to be revealed in the coming weeks and the coming months. Like I said, we have changed a lot of things with the format to make it more fun to everybody else. But again, welcome to the Nameless Blog. I'm Kyle S. Berkeley. You can find me on all forms of social media but Facebook at Berkeley for Us. On Facebook, look me up at Dr. Kyle Berkeley. There I am. On that note, let me pause this. I had to pause for a second. That was the guest that will be jumping on. He is the COO, Chief Operating Officer of Bold Print Publishing. He makes sure that I stay on point and my vice president stays on point with things that we're doing with Bold Print this coming year. And there's a lot of things coming this coming year. First and foremost, the union. It will be out on May 29th. The critiques are coming in. I have one of the best announcements that I could give about the critique for the union. That being, it received a 10 out of 10 stars on Books with Benefits. This is major. Books with Benefits, they have ranked all my books. The original Wake, I said the original Wake for a reason. The original Wake received an 8.5 stars out of 10, which I thought was pretty fair. Actually thought it was pretty lenient to a way because um, the way how I looked at it, there was a lot of things I could have done, I should have done with the Wake that I didn't. But after going back and rereading it while working on this new version, there is a second edition of the Wake coming out. Um, the rights have reverted back to me because I'm under a 10 book contract with Bold Print Publishing. The rights of the Wake will go from myself to Bold Print after I'm finished the rewrite of the book. The book is now going to be a more linear book, meaning the timeline will match completely up. It's not a whole bunch of dates all over the place like how the original was. Um, the chapters are just flowing like any other chapter in the Tiffany Gibbons saga. Um, I could give away some information about what's going on with the remake or the second edition of the Wake, just because it is coming out this year. I'm not sure if I'm going to put it out in March, just because it's a whole marketing campaign for the union. This kind of puts a weird wrinkle in the promotion of the union. Um, but it's a good wrinkle, but it's still kind of weird. But so that what I'm the reason why I'm saying that is this version of the Wake is told from Tiffany Gibbons' perspective. So it's out of her eyes, but it's still telling the story of the union of the Wake, but it's more so it's telling it from her perspective and her feelings of the events that happened. She's still telling the events of Silk. It's a lot more detail in Silk's relationship with Gina, which I'm glad I had the opportunity to fix that. um, there's this chapter that I'm working on right now where you get to see the relationship that um, Pastor Donald Avery has uh, I keep wanting to say Tyrone just because there's been I'm working also on Tyrone's multiple chapters so far is pretty cool. And for those that don't know and aren't familiar with the book series yet, Tyrone is Sasha's son, or those who are familiar with the series but have never read The Wake. Tyrone is Sasha's son. Sasha's Tiffany's best friend. Tiffany's the main character and the eyes to the world of the Tiffany Gibbon saga. That being said, what I did with Pastor Donna Avery is I really wanted to highlight his impact on the men of the community and the men that was involved in his church, and how he was a different kind of pastor than your typical church pastor, like how he was more so community focused and focused on civil rights. And I really wanted to show why Hakeem was the best person to air that church. And the union, which in contrast shows how Hakeem was not, even though Hakeem's father wanted him to take over that church, which was Andrew's Memorial, which is a cult. Hakeem walked away from his own father's church and he became close to Pastor Donald Avery and took over New Hope Greater Love Church. And it's pretty cool that storytelling and showing how Hakeem rose to becoming a community leader. And also it's a pretty cool telling of how the Little family, Erica Little and Cedric Little, how they became, I'm gonna say narcissistic, but they're not really narcissists. They're just arrogant as can be. And it's it's cool redoing this and seeing, okay, I had these things sprinkled, but I didn't really go in, and in this version of it, I could really go in to the grittiness of Erica and Cedric and how they were taking over the community, how they took away Tiffany and Sasha's apartment building, um, their whole mentality of basically the urban community in Baltimore. And I'm able to really capture that now in the second version of The Wake. And I'm very glad that it's going to be coming out this year. Like I said, it could come out in March, it could come out in April, it could come out in June or July. And I'm just trying to be careful because I have The Union coming out. The Union is a bestseller. The Union is a phenomenal book. Like I just said, it's a 10 out of 10 stars on Books with Benefits. That's a huge and high honor and high praise. So far, I've had 3 critiques come back. All 3 critiques so far have been great. And I'm still waiting on a few more. The best-selling author, Dessa Rose, she's doing a critique on it right now. And I'm just really excited about this direction that we're going now with Bold Print Publishing. And also, in addition to that, we're still working on the series. We're in the process of shoot. Next week, we're going to do a walkthrough of these scenes that we're going to start shooting on, and we'll make it public after we do some editing and things like that, because we do want to generate a lot of interest into this project, because this Tiffany saga is major. Like, this whole story is major, which is why it's great that the Wake has now come back home to myself. And with the Wake coming home, we could re-release it under Bold Print, but we could make it an even better story. And we could tell parts to the story, like the relationship that Pastor Avery had with Hakeem and Edward Carter and um, Keon and Alan Bradley. Like, and it's pretty cool because Alan Bradley in the story, he was a person who was in and out of trouble his whole life, kept going back and forth to prison. Pastor Avery always believed in him, to the point when Alan was like, "Look, I want to go to college and do something with my life. I want to become a mortician." Um, Pastor Avery's paid for him to go to college. And from paying for him to go to college, he also gave him the money to open up his funeral home. Pastor Avery knew he was dying with cancer. So he realized, look, I can't take this money with me, but I can invest in the future. And that's Pastor Donald Avery in a nutshell. Like, he's always been interested in investing in the Black community. And this chapter that I'm working on right now it highlights that. And I didn't get a chance to really do that with the original Wake. That's why I'm very happy about having the rights back and being able to right some wrongs. That being said, we still have the other segments to talk about. I just wanted to give that update just because as an author, it's always fun to talk about how the great work that we're doing, but it's also fun that it's also great to acknowledge, hey, look, these are areas I wasn't strong at in 2017 when I was working on this book, 2016, 2017 when I was working on this book. These were areas I was not strong at. Like there was a story, there was a good story. 8.5 is still a real good rating. It was a good story, but it wasn't my strongest story. Like if you look at the 8.5 out of 10 I had on Books with Benefits for the Wake versus the 9.0 I had for the Void, it's a huge gap. The storytelling is a huge leap. The Void is a huge leap forward from the Wake, the original Wake. The Legacy, 9.8 out of 10. Huge leap forward from the Wake. The Union, 10.10. And for those that don't know what the Union is about, let me go ahead and pitch this idea to you right now. Picture you have just gotten married to the love of your life, the person who accepts you and loves you exactly for who you are, what you are, and wants nothing more but to build a future with you and go forth into the unknown. And on top of that, this person who you married, this person has gone through his trauma, and you, Tiffany, have gone through your trauma. But while you guys are trying to figure yourself, adjusting to this marriage, you're past the honeymoon stage. That's the beauty of the union. The story takes place past the honeymoon stage. So you're past the whole dating and the cutesy phase. Now you're in the nitty gritty life can get kind of rough phase. In the middle of that, Tiffany is a bank owner. She runs a community bank, black owned community bank, in Baltimore City, and there's a water crisis that's going on. It comes out that the water has asbestos and it has lead. All the plumbing and pipes are old, and there's a lot of pushback from the mayor and the city council because there's a contract with Titan Industries, which is now owned by Erica Little, the same Erica Little from The Wake. And Erica is trying to have it set up where they'll put down the new pipes after the citizens sell their homes to Titan Industries, and then they could just redo the whole community. Tiffany's pushback is, dude, I run a bank. I have money. So no, we're not doing that. We're going to fight you back. Matter of fact, we're going to be very vocal and I'm going to flex my power. So you have this power struggle or power vacuum going on right there. What's interesting about that is then you find out and learn more about this whole secret society, which will come more into play in the very final book in this series, the transition. But you really get to find out how things in the city are ran, how a lot of things get swept under the rug, how people are able to get away with all these cover-ups, like certain serial killer from one of my other books, and how things go forth. And then you find out there's another serial killer. On top of all that, there's this person in Charm City Strangler who is killing young African American men. Um, and we find out why. It makes a lot of sense as the story goes on as to that why factor. And this person is not empathetic at all. Like there's no sympathy, there's no empathy for this person at all. There is a strong reason why. And you also find out how Hakeem's family's church is a cult, and you really get to figure out why did Hakeem break away from his own family's church and link up with Donald Avery all the way back in the Wake, and how did that follow him from the Wake to the Void to the Legacy, and now here we are at the Union, and now Hakeem is now back at the place that he ran from with his family now. And Tiffany is now brought into this whole situation that she didn't even realize was going to be a situation. And you get to learn a lot more about Tiffany. Like with everything that she's gone through in the series, you get to really learn Tiffany's perception of who she is and what she's overcome and how she really feels about all the things she's overcome. So there's a lot of beautiful things in the union. I just wanted to throw that out there. And now we're going to get into this segment called what inspired me. So I'm going to go all the way back to The Void. So the year is 2020. I'm writing The Void, 2019, 2020. I'm writing The Void. I'm a huge comic book junkie. For those that don't know, I love my comics. I read Walking Dead. Well, the Walking Dead series has ended. The book run ended a long time ago. I can't tell you much about the TV series because I don't watch it. But I love the comic book series. I love a lot of Marvel. I read a lot of Deadpool. Read a lot of Blue X-Men. Blue and Gold actually. Uh, I love the all new, all different Avengers runs. Um, Honestly, there's a lot of different Marvel comics I could go through. I could list that I could read. There's another comic book run series I read called Sex Criminals. I like that one a lot. It's very fun. It's very interesting. It's warm hearted, and there's a lot of others. I just off the top of my head, I just can't name. Um, I do read some DC. The world's greatest Batman and Superman, Bat Family. I used to love Green Lantern a lot. Um, Super Superman has always been weird for me because for the longest time I didn't like Superman, and then out of nowhere I just fell in love with him. With the changes that they've done with him with the new 52 and everything, and then I went back and started reading a lot of older Superman comics. Martian Manhunter, I used to be a big fan of. Of course, you gotta love the Justice League. This is just naming a few. So anyway, what inspired me? So let's go back and look at the Void. So when I was working on the Void, there's a character named Marshawn Bell who's the main antagonist, quote unquote, for the Void. His character, of course, makes a lot of changes as the series goes on. For those who read, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But looking right at the Void, Marshawn, there are aspects of his personality that was inspired by comic book Negan. A lot of people don't know that. It's funny because my dear friend, best-selling author, and person who inspired the movie Water in a Broken Glass, Odessa Rose, she was the one who actually pointed it out. Like, hey, this kind of reminded me a little bit of Negan. I'm laughing like, well, it should have, you know. And it's like picture Negan as a black police officer, and that's a detective that works with gangs. That's what you get, like you get this guy, you get Marshawn Bell, like you get a person, and he has a driving factor that makes you go, okay, I don't like him. I think he's a horrible person, but I completely get his why. Spoiling a little bit of the Void, Marshawn Bell's driving factor is his family. His mother's terminally ill with cancer. She's a retired school teacher, and she has pancreatic cancer. There's a lab in Newport News, Virginia, and they have this experimental treatment for stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and it has almost 100% success rate. But no insurance covers it. Of course, she's retired, she's elderly, she's now on Medicare, so she doesn't qualify for this at all. And she's a retired school teacher. She's not the wealthy type person that they're looking for to go to this treatment. So Marshawn's whole mentality is, I gotta save my mom. I'm a detective for this unit called the Narcotics and Firearms Task Force. I investigate gangs and drug activity all day long. I understand this. I can steal money from these drug dealers. I could also sell drugs from rival gangs that homes that I raid, and then sell those drugs to this other gang, make money, and then put that towards my mom's treatment. The person that's getting in my way for whatever weird reason is Tiffany, because Tiffany has just inherited her grandmother's house. And now she's in my community, my turf. And she's standing in the way now, her and her Aunt Gina are standing in the way of what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to accomplish because they're not on board with what's the law that I've established, which makes for some very weird and compelling reading and writing. And that's what I loved about Marshawn. It was like that little catalyst of Negan with that. Hey, look, I have a rhyme and a reason, but you don't understand my rhyme and reason. You don't need to because this whole act that they put on is designed not for me, actually, it's designed for the people around me because they need this kind of a leadership. This kind of leadership is effective. And it's funny how in the story, Rick learns, especially after he locks up Negan, he learns how effective Negan's leadership was to the group of people Negan was leading. And I love building on that, creating this black version of that, making this person a police officer. No, there's no zombie apocalypse at all in this book, but but creating that into a crime element and what could realistically and may have really happened be something that you know what I mean in a almost real world scenario. And then the impacts of that on somebody like Tiffany, who's gone through so much trauma, has legit mental health problems, who sees and hears things other people don't see and hear, has these blackout spells, and sometimes can live in fantasy land. This is the person who's in the crosshairs of Marshawn Bell, the Void. And that's exactly how Marshawn Bell's whole characterization came about. Um, it started out with just that little tiny thread from the Walking Dead comic with Negan, and it just built and blossomed into some other things because of some things that me and some of my friends have gone through growing up and witnessed, and some razzle dazzle. So there you have it. There's what's inspired me when I created Marshawn Bell. Yeah, so it was great that that's what inspired me to do that. Next up is this segment that we like to break down bars, lyrics. So it could be just one cool punchline, it could be two bars, it could be a whole verse. So on that, my COO and we've been going back and forth with this whole DMX song. X is coming for you. When he hops on, we'll really get into and break down those bars. And I really can't wait for you guys to check that out. To see how that goes. He'll be hopping on in a second. Before we do that, I do want to point out the Union trailer is officially going to be out soon. There's some changes that I've done since I think I showed it during the last Nameless blog. Only reason why is I want to start putting the critiques in there. I want to put the release date in. And once I'm able to have the pre-orders available for everybody, I want to also have that to say, hey, pre-orders are now available for the union. And I'm going to, as time goes on, we're now in February, you're going to start seeing me really ramp up this whole promotion for the union as time goes on, like especially as we get closer to March. And you're probably going to see me on a few morning shows talking about the union, probably also talking about the Wake second edition because the actual original wake will be pulled from off of all shelves that I know of, as of February 29th. So the end of this month, the original wake will be pulled off. Fear not, the wake remake or the wake second edition will be out very soon. I'm in the process of finishing it up. If I'm being completely honest with you all, I am on chapter, let's go up a little bit because I have been writing all night. This has been nonstop writing. I'm on chapter 29 right now of this Wake remake. And like I said, this is some real cool, fun storytelling that I'm able to do with this whole Wake remake. And keeping almost all of the character beats true to itself, removing a lot of unnecessary names that really didn't need to be there to begin with. I'm really not changing the story for the most part too much. I'm more so highlighting and adding a lot of insight to people like Tiffany, adding insight to people like Hakeem, adding insight to a lot of different characters. Even you're able to learn more about the importance. Sorry, that's my daughter. There you go. Okay, go to your room. She doesn't want to. It's my sweet brother Nancy. You're on mute.
All right, I'm unmuted.
It's my sweet brother Nancy.
What's good, bro?
What's good, bro? Welcome to the Nameless Blog. For everybody who don't know, this is the Chief Operating Officer of Bold Print Publishing, Lamont Crosell. You're our very first guest on this show, believe it or not. So what we're about to do is break down the lyrics to a very classic song. You and I have talked about this 1,000 times over. That song is X is Coming For You. Or X is Coming. Bugs, you want to kick us off on it?
Yo, so I missed everything you said because I told you I was at the car wash and I jumped out the car and lost all of my volume.
It's all good. So
all right, I'm back. Yo. I got it now.
Cool. So what we're talking about is a classic DMX song, X is Coming. There's a very specific verse that we're going to break down. Bugs, would you like to kick us off on this?
Oh man, there's so much in that song.
Jump in.
So that second verse,
Second
verse is really ill. And so let's revisit that verse first. I'm trying to think of how it starts. I remember it, but I'm all scattered. Across with the verse.
Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
Yeah, I'm trying to think where to start. Like I know, what I'm saying, where to start on that verse. If you got a daughter older than 16, I'm gonna rape her.
Yes.
Take her right there in the living room floor, right there in front of you, and ask you seriously what you want to do. This is revenge. And right before you die, and despite how much I hate to see a grown man cry, I'm gonna make you something. Hold on. Before that comes, there's more. There's more. And let's get to the more first, and then I have several questions. Leading up to that.
All right, go for it. Because I'm gonna tell you, it starts off bad. I just pulled up the lyrics. It starts off bad.
Oh yeah. From the jump. And
you got yourself in a predicament that you can't get out of.
You're already in some shit, and it's about to get hotter. Yeah, I mean, yeah. How? Explain. Go ahead. Finish the verse, man. Finish the verse.
I got my youngest in the room, so I'm being careful of my language. I'm trying to get her
No
up.
doubt. No
Not
doubt.
trying to leave. She's watching my phone over here.
You got edit. We're gonna edit the verse.
So I'm editing a verse because I have a 4-year-old that's about to be 5 in a couple days. Her birthday party's today. So I'm editing. I'm being cautious of how I'm saying it. Okay, audience. So you're effing with a nigga like you running your mouth will have the same nigga like you with a gun in your mouth.
Yeah, there's so much.
But it won't be like the last
like,
time when I run into the house because I ain't knocking on the door. I'm coming in the house.
I'm coming in the house.
And I'm gunning for your spouse. Trying to send
that chick
back to her maker.
And then if you got a daughter older than 16, I'm going to rape her on the living room floor.
Right there in front of you. And I'm going to ask you
what you want to do.
Knowing frustrating, isn't it? You want to kill me? Let me kill you. This puts a pin in it right there. This is revenge.
And right before you die, so unwrapping that verse, I mean, clearly, he really whatever this man did, he deserved everything that was coming to him, apparently, because I mean, psychologically, I mean, we're men, we're husbands, we're parents, so to have someone break into your house, your gun for your spouse first, they ain't even look for you yet.
No, they didn't even think about you yet.
He's coming to hurt you first and foremost, mentally and literally and figuratively, right?
Right.
But I want you to see all this. I want you to feel this pain. So after I gun down your spouse, if you have a daughter and she's older than 16, I done hog-tied your ass up and I'm gonna take her right there in front of you. So and then what I noticed, he didn't say after he's raping a 16-year-old daughter and he's gonna kill you, he's just gonna leave his child alone.
He's done. That part of the mission is over.
So imagine the psychological effects on that child. They got, not only did they get raped, I mean, that's issue number one. They got raped in front of their parent, their father. Like, being a father, we know with our daughters, we're their protector, their providers, their everything. So it's like, all right, so she got raped in front of her father, then watch her father get killed.
Right. Knowing that this man is crying, he's angry, he wants revenge, but he can't do nothing about it.
There's no revenge. I mean, X just showed you what revenge was.
Yeah, because he told you this is revenge. You didn't know what it was at first. I'm explaining it to you.
He explained it to you, and you ain't gotta have no thoughts about it afterwards, because I'm gonna kill you. You already did. I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know verbally that if you were trying to get revenge on me prior to me getting revenge on you, this is how it's really done. Yep. I don't know that BS that you did to me. You let me live. You let me live. So now I got to get you back and show you that we're not. This is not avenging. This is we're not. I'm not avenging what you did to me. I am revenging. So there is no coming back. There is no coming back once this is done. And guess what? For what I did, for everything that I did, and the psychological effects that I left for your daughter, I'm gonna see you in hell.
Yeah, I'm letting you know stuff.
Already got my ticket, fam. I'm gonna see you there, and you let me know. Let me know. Let me know how you approved of my revenge. If you had a chance to do it again, you would do it the way that I did it, right? Let it be known. You know what I mean? Let it be known there's no coming back. This is it. This is the finality of revenge. But then I'm like, but what if the daughter comes out to be like super thug from all those psychological issues and like Colombiana?
Yeah, he's created Tiffany. He's created Tiffany Gibbons.
That's wild, man. That's wild. I don't even know. Just to have those thoughts, to put them to pen to paper, is a lot. It's a lot.
It makes me
I'm like,
wonder, how serious was this man's life? Because I mean, we
right?
both had some pretty serious lives. How serious was his life? Where he went, yeah, no, this is acceptable.
I
This.
mean, like, so being street dudes and then becoming family men, right? You go through different scenarios. You meet all different kinds of people, man. And you've been wrong. We've been all been wrong by some street dudes or whatever, but we still here to tell the story, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, and I guess that would be my issue. The what type of trauma or issue or what robbery went wrong? I'm like, there's so many questions that I have to be like, but why?
Why?
And think and I think that it's more so along the lines of the raping the daughter in front of, you know what I mean? I'm like, damn, dog, she had nothing to do with this, yo. She had nothing to do with this at all. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. I'm a little like, and you don't think about it when you're just vibing to the song, man. Until, like you said, until you start singing along to the lyrics, and you're like, hold on, bruh. First of all, I'm not raping nothing and nobody ever in life. That's just I don't have that kind of energy in me, man. And it's like I don't know. Man. I'm like, if I had that much hate and anger and disgust, I'm like I would try if I took it there mentally. I'm gonna try to get you when your daughter not home.
Right.
That's you know what I'm saying.
But I mean,
I'm
he
gonna
was
try
already killing the wife, so
yeah, well, that's why she don't get a pass in this scenario. maybe she was down. Maybe she was down with with whatever was going on with the husband when they got X initially,
in
or
his mind, she knew.
she benefited. She benefited from it some sort of way. So you got to pay. And then, or maybe he was being compassionate.
Oh my
Maybe
god!
maybe he was being compassionate from the standpoint of, well, you no longer be able to go on without your spouse, so I might as well. And then I think
It's
about
a mercy killing.
yeah. So I think about me being the wife, like we talk. I mean, it's a reality, right? We all gonna leave this world eventually, right? So we go back and forth, and it's like, yeah, I want you to go before me, and she like, well, if you go before, well, if I go before you, you're not allowed to live longer. You just jump in this casket with me. So it could have been one of them things. Be like, you know what? I'm not even gonna have you mourn or none of that. You're not gonna have to. You're not gonna have to deal with this. Now, your 16-year-old daughter, she out here on her own. She out here on her own, and she just need to deal with the consequences from the actions of the parent. When she goes to start digging and figure out what actions that her parents did to led this man to be psychotic and do basically a psychotic killing in MF her. He MF'd her and the father, but he ain't MF'd the father because he killed him. You can't you can't play with somebody's mind and then kill him. So it's like and we all know a 16-year-old is still developing physically and mentally.
Yes,
So this 16-year-old that already had their own psychological issues of finding their place in the world and finding their place in high school, you didn't just rape them. So that's another psychological disorder they got to deal with. And you killed her father in front of her. Hold on. Let alone, we don't even know if she's seen the mother did.
right. There could be two bodies right there. She's butt naked with her pants up,
like think about
horrible.
it. Think about how sick this dude has to be, like to want to. And I don't think it's really. It is sickness, but the revenge, like damn everything else. The revenge that I'm getting, I don't care because I just killed your spouse. She right there on the living room floor. I didn't hog-tied you. You right there beside your spouse who's bleeding out. And I got your daughter on the other side of you. Why is she looking at her mom bleed out? And why looking at you like? And I imagine brothers like this, just hog with his eyes closed because
Don't forget, just a little while longer, please. Will you?
like you don't want to watch that, man. You know what I'm saying? And then like that's not something a parent wants to see, man.
No,
That's just not.
but
That's
don't
just not.
forget, he will borrow a gun and run until he catches you.
So hold on, who's letting this man borrow a gun? Who? What circle of friends does he got? I mean, let's think about it. Dude don't even he's in New York, the mecca of guns. You don't need to buy a gun. You don't need to borrow a gun.
You can just buy one.
You can steal one, really?
Yeah.
There's so many guns floating around in New York. I mean, come on, it's so many guns floating around in Baltimore. You are in the inner city. And so that's problem one. Problem two is who lets him borrow a gun? Like whoever deals with this man on a regular basis know that he's got some issues. So what was that conversation like? Hey yo, Kyle. Just let me hold a burner.
All right, what you need it for? Revenge.
That's all you need to know, bro. That's all you need to know. So hold on. So this sucker, because that's what we're gonna call him, that let this dude borrow a gun, yo. This dude, after he borrows a gun, though, he's gonna run. And
now he's gonna creep. Now he's gonna stalk him. He's running. Just on a foot chase.
Until I catch. What about the bystanders, bro? What about the bystanders, man? What about everybody that see? Because you ain't say you masked up or not. You ain't give us no type of information.
He's borrowing a gun and he's running. And in my mind, I'm seeing DMX running through the streets of Yonkers, New York, with a gun in his hand, just running full speed. Because this is young DMX. This is muscular, young DMX.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's this cut up man just running with a gun through Yonkers. And you got a Sheik and Kiss probably outside, like, he doing it again. He's doing it again.
Jada probably the one that gave him the gun. He was like, yo, I ain't trying to hear this shit today, X, man. Here, just take what you need, bro. Just take what you need, man.
I was looking at him like, yo, he about to make another ghost. Kiss look at him.
Luch is just like, I told y'all he was a wild dude.
And Swiss beat all light skin. He probably like,
hold on, Swiss wasn't Swiss yet. He was just there. He's still trying to find his beat. So,
right, he's still trying to find his beat.
He's still trying to find his niche, man. So Swiss is there, but he I don't know. This is one that, because they was hanging out or whatever, right? So this is one where X like, nah, you don't want to be with me on this one, dog. This is a solo mission. This is a solo mission. I don't need no code Ds or none of that, yo. And then you might, from what I'm getting ready to put down, you might look at me sort of different. So then you might be on the list. So I don't want to put you on the list. So go ahead and hop out this cab.
I'm Cody Rhodes. I'm about to finish the story.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole nother conversation. Cody Rhodes about to turn into DMX.
That's a whole nother blog, dog. Yo, what he said, and then when he got the gun running, he's gonna hit any innocent bystanders.
Yeah, are you witnesses better start running?
But I mean, he told you.
I am running. Man with a gun running through Yonkers. Of course, I'm running.
I'm running with a gun. I am running with a gun. And everybody better run. You can stay there, yo, because I'm telling you, I done just told you, I'm aiming, but it's a good chance that he gonna run. So my aim may be off. I'm gonna hit something.
I'm fueled with anger. You're in danger.
Matter of fact, his aim was off because the very next verse he busted through house. So we don't know if any innocent bystanders were hit or not because he didn't tell us. But I'm gonna just assume that innocent bystanders were hit because he told y'all to run. And I don't know if you took off or not, but it's clear he missed his target.
You know what? The album is Dark and Hell is Hot. I think we've been looking at it wrong for years. It's because this man blacked out in that revenge tour. That's why it was dark.
I'm gonna say there was a lot of anger in that album. I mean, you think about the one that he came get at me, dog. Like everybody loved that song. I'm not gonna front. I was with it too, man.
I could disable a man with the wave of a hand.
Yeah. when you like, why are you yelling at me though? X, why are you? I get it, man. I get it, man. But why are you? I'm right here in front of you. Why are you yelling at? Get at me, dog. I'm getting at you. I am getting at you.
You
Like that
tell me
whole.
that is love here. What's with all the hating? I was yelling at God. And that brought God in on the verse. No, put down your gun and write a new rhyme. You kill him all the time. Have faith because you fine.
You know, what about them times I only saw one? Those were the times I was under the gun. It was then scared you, my son. You know, led you to safety. You know, just wasn't your time to face me. A few of the times I thought you would erase me.
Like, yo, he had to come back for everything God had to
so, yo, no doubt, man, no doubt. I definitely, oh man, yeah, I gotta get ready to move out my car wash space.
All right.
Or vacuum, because he keep coming over here. So yeah, we're gonna catch up later on, man. Part two of this blog. You say you were talking about
the top 10. So this week's top 10 is the most influential Black men in our lives.
All right. What if we don't have 10 now? I don't know if I have 10 personally. That I speak to on a regular basis. The top.
It could be any. It could be people you met, people who you didn't.
Okay.
Mine is interesting.
All right, so definitely my top 10, I would say, are the men in my life that influenced me when I was coming up. And I kind of took, by having an absent father, I kind of took pieces of all of these, everything that they were great at, or good at, that I noticed from the age when they were impacting my life, and kind of molded me into the man that I am today. So number one is, I call him my Uncle Pops. He's one of the first father figures I had in my life. He just recently passed away at the age of 81. He's actually my Uncle Fletcher. That's what we called him by. Like I said, I called him Uncle Pops though, because he raised me. He's married into the family. He was married into the family about 5 years before I was born. So he's always been an influential part of my life, of all of our family's life, with kids that were born thereafter. And this man taught me compassion. This man taught me how to be humble. And that goes, for me, and personally speaking, that goes a long way. The second person influential in my life is probably Pastor Abbott, our family pastor, that I grew up to admire. Even to this day, I'm no longer a member of that church, because I moved 3 hours away. But he still, recently I just saw him. He did a funeral service for my last surviving aunt, and we had a great conversation. He was just like, "Why don't you come to the church and come by the church?" And I'm like, "I live in Baltimore, Pastor." so he was like, "Oh." So then I have my Uncle Brian is probably third influential. My Uncle Brian and I are about 10 to 11 years apart in age. He's the youngest sibling of my mother's, and we have more of a brother relationship versus uncle nephew. It's always a great time whenever I link up with Uncle Brian. I don't know. We always have great conversations. Like I said, we like that brotherly love. It's never any judgment, any of that. Then I go to probably my uncle Mark. My Uncle Mark, I remember he's the one that talked to me about relationships, about love, about pain and love, the hurt of relationships, the commitment of a relationship, the commitment of marriage. We definitely had a lot of conversations surrounding that. Then I would probably go to what's that for? I'll probably go to Kyle, you, my brother, next. Even though even though you might not think of it or look at it like this, I always tell you when we speak, steel sharpens steel, right?
Yeah.
So even though you're a few years younger than me, and like I said, we vibrate off each other. Our energy is just great. But watching you grow from all those years ago as a teenager to the man that you've become is amazing. I mean, honestly, man. I mean, going through whatever trials and tribulations you had to go through, and nothing. And we always speak back and forth. Nothing breaks us. You know what I mean? And we don't allow anything to break us. Every new challenge we go through is just that. It's a challenge and an opportunity. And the positive energy that you bring when I'm like, yo, I don't want to be positive. I don't feel like being positive. And you like, get out your own way, man. Get out your own way. And the honesty that we have in our brotherhood is like you and I, man. I have a closer bond with you than my real brothers. You know what I'm saying? Like the just being genuine, being a genuine person, being a genuine friend from day one. Like I often tell you, I often play back in my head when I first moved to Baltimore, dude. You didn't know me from a can of paint, and I'm like, I gotta take my daughter to daycare. Can you help me out? And you did it without any expectations, and you know what I mean. It was love, man. So I definitely appreciate that. And then trying to think, and then probably not. I wouldn't say last. It really ain't no order per se for me.
Right.
Definitely your father. Towards the last couple years he was on this earth with us. The conversations that him and I had that you didn't know we had were definitely. I don't know. They definitely were eye opening because I would call him for parental advice, manhood advice, and it would be the most simplest things that I go back and analyze, and I'd be like, "Well, that wasn't helpful, Mr. Sam." But
That was my dad. My dad would give you a whole story. You'd be like, that didn't help at all. Like that actually made me feel worse. And then you sit back and think about it, like, yo, he was absolutely right. Oh my God.
I remember the first scenario going through with Isaiah, man, and I called Sam when they talk about it. After I explained everything, he's gonna be okay. He's got good parents. Thanks for that, Mr. Sam. Thanks for that.
That ain't
I'm
help
out
at
of that.
all.
That ain't help at all, man. So then you go sit back and you analyze and you think about it. What does he mean by that? Is that really? Does he really have good parents? And then you make your little list up. And you're like, oh yeah, we do.
Yeah, because I mean,
Hold on, brother.
Right.
You need anything else? No, I'm good. I'm getting ready to clean. I'm on a Zoom call, man. Okay. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah, and it's like it's funny because it's like when you look at you and you look at your wife. I'm not gonna call the name out on the thing, but when you look at you and your wife, and then you look at what y'all have done together from when we first met, living in your mother-in-law's basement, to getting your apartment over in Southwest Baltimore, then getting the home over in Brooklyn, then the house that you all have built right now. It's just like, yeah, it's like it's weird. Like with what my dad said, it wasn't much, but it was a lot because when you think of everything, because Izzy saw one thing Izzy didn't see, your son didn't see, was you living in Mama Jackie's basement. Other than that, he's seen the progression in his lifetime of all the different places that you lived, like the ups and downs, hurdles. So it's like it's weird because like my pops didn't say much, but when you think about it, like, no, he got y'all to his parents. Y'all not just survivors, y'all are thrivers. And it's dope. You know what I mean? It's like it's impossible for him to fail, even though with what's going on right now, we're not gonna talk about on air. But like I sit back and Izzy and I talk, and I always tell him, hey, look, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right. Let me know when you need something. Talk to me. He's gonna be all right. Like
yes, he is.
Yeah, you see it. Like it's like, all right, he finally, yeah, he had a hurdle. He got a hurdle. I ain't gonna lie, he got a hurdle.
What I say, I don't say so. I say you sped up. You sped up your aging. You know what I'm saying? You sped up from those mistakes that you could make at the age you're at now. You're not allowed to make those mistakes. You gave up that privilege. You know what I mean?
He can't do the dumb stuff I was doing now. I was doing at his age now. All that's out the window.
And I say, I don't know, like, and I guess the as far as talking about your father, like, I didn't know because I'm looking at it from a father standpoint. That's your homeboy, y'all cool or whatever, but he ain't your dad, and he might be leading you down the wrong road. This is just how parents think. You know what I'm saying? And being a parent that has adult kids now, I'm like, this is how we think, even their adult world. You know what I mean? I'm like, nah, that's not a good person, because we just want the best for our children, right? So, like, when your mom called me and asked me to be a pallbearer, bruh, I had to take a minute to myself, man, because I didn't realize the respect and how your father viewed me as man to his son. You know what I'm saying? As a man,
his son himself.
And so, like, I had to, like, man, that messed with me for at least an hour until when I spoke to your mom again and she told me to make some rice. So
oh yeah, what's funny is we was all at the house, right? So I had Pastor Span and all them at the house, and my mom had out of nowhere, like, everybody sitting down eating and talking. You know, we all just talking or whatever. You know, my mom had the caterer, Chef Bennett, that was going to do stuff. My mom go, my oldest son gonna make the rice. Pastor Span wife, co-pastor Span, she goes, what, y'all got older children? She's like, well, you know, Kyle has the older half sister Brenda, but yeah, Lamont. She goes, Lamont that comes over to the church. She's like, yeah, that's his brother. When did? No, that's his brother. That's all you need to know. He's making the rice. You don't need to make the. My mom already had it in her, and she already declared it to everybody. Like, it's a house full of folk at this time, and she's already telling them without even asking you.
Don't worry about it. The rice is taken care of.
It's done. Yeah.
All right, let's hear your list, bro. Let's hear your list, man.
All right, so I got my honorable. All right, I got my honorable mentions first, right? Because, you know, it's weird doing it. So I got, and it's for different reasons why I got people at where I got them at. So, like, with Jay-Z, I got him as my first honorable mention. Reason why is it's something about seeing somebody that came from the Marcy Projects. You know, we seen this evolution of Jay. We know how he is as a businessman. I'm not going to get into the whole weeds of everything, but watching this guy from Takeover, just going in on the whole industry to being a person now who picks who's performing at the halftime show at the Super Bowl. You know, this guy went from owning, created his own, Ace of Spades, the champagne company, and everything else he's done. You know, like, it's just amazing. So it's like his impact on the Black culture for my generation is just amazing. Like, I don't want to get into the whole business aspects of him and everything, but just that, it was just like, dude, if he could do it, and he went from being a drug dealer and everything to, dude, I could do it. You know what I mean? Like, he went from selling his CDs out of trunks because nobody wanted to give him a deal to he is the highest name in hip hop. Like, there's nobody, like, Drake doesn't have a bigger name than Jay-Z in hip hop. Like, yes, Drake has a huge name, but as far as Mongol goes, this guy has a whole place called the Book of Hove in Brooklyn. Like that's amazing. So, like, that's my first honorable mention. Michael Vick, just because to me growing up, Michael Vick was like the dude that you could see off the corner now made it to the professionals, and he's doing his thing. He balling out. So to me, Michael Vick was that. Same thing with Mike Tyson. That's another honorable mention. It was just like this kid running out there in some Nikes and just knocking grown men out. You know what I mean?
No. I got when after you done your list, I got my last one, and then I don't know why I didn't mention it, but
I got you. Michael Jordan, I got him as he's my honorable mentions. Michael Jordan, Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac, just because of their influence on me growing up. As you know this more than anybody, Biggie had more of an influence on me than Tupac did. Even though I like a lot of Tupac's music, I like what he stood for. It was just I related to Big. Like when I close my eyes and listen to Biggie music, I could legit see him painting my picture all the time. Sidney Poitier, James Baldwin. This one's gonna sound crazy, and I'm gonna explain why. Bill Cosby. So Bill Cosby was actually on my top 10 list, and I took him off because the whole rape stuff. But what this guy represented towards the black community growing up was, I'm not gonna do a bunch of ghetto stuff. I'm gonna actually give you a very powerful, impactful view into what we are and who we can be as black people. Like I could give you a family show about struggles, but I could also show you in the struggles you could be successful and still struggle and still be black. You don't have to sell out who you are. And to me, that was powerful. Like that's a powerful message. A different world and Cosby Show, which is powerful for me growing up. Marcus Garvey, I loved his thought. You know what I mean? Like that thought of going.
Afro-panism, baby.
Yeah.
That was one. I was getting ready to jump on. I was like, yeah, I got two, man.
Oh yeah, don't worry. I got some more for you. LeVan Hopkins. I don't know if you knew who LeVan Hopkins was. Did you know who he was?
In passing, I don't know the history.
So LeVan Hopkins was this dude from Baltimore who had brought up all the Checkers and Burger Kings, and he had started this whole buy black and give back movement here in Baltimore, and like nobody else was doing that at the time, like not at the level of that he was doing. Like he was on the radio, like regular radio and TV stations, like buy black and give back. Like daytime television, you have a Burger King or a Checkers commercial with LeVan Hopkins preaching buy black and give back. I own these. Come shop at ours. This money stays in our community. I live in Baltimore City. I don't live in Owens Mills. I don't live in Randallstown. I don't live in Woodlawn. I live in Baltimore City. Buy black, give back. Let this money rotate in our community. Like that was powerful. Right. In my top 10 list, not for his politics, because you know me, I was hard on this dude. I was real crucial on this dude as far as politics. But what he meant, him and his black wife meant to our community, and what they inspired as far as generationally, Barack Obama. Like not for his politics at all, not for his politics, but what he inspired as far as, dude, you could be successful, you could be at the top office in this country with a black woman. You don't have to marry a white woman. You don't have to be all these different things. He was hanging out with Jay. You know what I mean? Like he's hanging out with hip hop stars and stuff like that. Like, dude, you could like the music that you like. You could be the person that you are. You could smoke Newports. You could, like all the things he did. You could do all these things.
Salem. He smoked Salem.
Oh yeah, he smoked Salem. You're right. All right.
It's the white filter. I know.
his black card. He was mixed, okay? He was mixed. So he don't got an all the way black card. He got half of a black card.
Hey, the government says, if you mixed,
you black,
you black. I don't make the rules.
Except for Patty Mahomes, but we're not gonna get into that. But the next one I had was Philip Banks. Even though it's a fictional character, James Avery.
Oh man, Phil is real.
Phil is
real.
Now I don't like this. I don't want to say that. I don't mind, and I'm okay with the remake of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but it was something special about the original, where you see the successful black man with his successful black family that takes in a kid from Philly and shows him a whole different world. That was inspiring to me growing up. Like it just was, you know what I mean? And knowing, Will being who he was, and then coming into the fold, but not coming into the fold of folding into what European white America wants you to be as a black man, but folding into who he's going to be as a man, and being exposed to other things and watching how that helped him mature. That meant a lot. Number 8, this is gonna be weird because of how low he is on here, but it's Martin Luther King. And as I go through the list, you'll understand why. I did like what Martin Luther King stood for, how he moved the nation, all those things. But the reason why Dr. King is so low on the list is look at who number 7 is, Nat Turner. So if you know me, you know what I'm about. Like if you really know me as a person, you know what I'm about. I'm not the turn cheek person because I feel like turning the cheek has actually pussified us more than helped us as a people. I'm a very big advocate of action. You have to meet action with action. Like when we see what's going on constantly with unarmed African American men being killed and different things happen, you have to send a response message. This whole, oh, well, we're gonna sing, dance, we're gonna ride and loot. No, 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 no. Action with action. If the court systems does not do us justice, we do our own justice. That's how I feel, and that's why Nat Turner's number 7. He was very like after I learned his story because they don't teach that to you in school about that slave revolt. You had to read that in books. There was
Mm-hmm.
a movie
And
about it,
wonder
but they
why.
shut that down
No, so they teach you that Nat Turner was killed. They teach you that he was murdered, and they mention it in passing.
because
They mention
of
it
the
in
fear
passing
of it.
during the Black History Month, which don't get me started on that, man. Like
Yeah.
anyway, and yeah, that's what we need to have a blog on during this quote unquote Black History Month is really Black history. Black history is like Morgan Freeman said years ago is American history.
Yeah.
There is no history without Black folk.
No, you don't even have a
There is
rose in your house
that's just
without black folk.
that's just what it is, and we know the winners tell the story, right, of whatever battle or whatever crisis. So it's just asinine to think that your whole existence started from slavery. That's just not true.
It's not true at all. We
That's
had
just
a
not
whole
true.
country.
All right, I'm sorry. I think we segued into something else. We're gonna definitely bring that back though.
Oh yeah, we're gonna run that back because mind you, the next week's top 10 is going to be the top 10 influential women. So we definitely going to revisit this. Um, Uncle Tom is number 6 for me, just because black
Uncle
man.
Tom.
Yeah, I had to. Like black man from South Carolina, Sumter County, very poor area, and he made something out of nothing, and now he's a millionaire sitting on his own zip code. He owns his own freaking zip code. With the lake, mansion, all that stuff, always giving back. Um, he's there. One of the most influential black men in my life.
And Uncle Tom is so humble.
And he's so humble. Like you
Forget
would
him
never
that,
know.
man.
I mean, you can see how he dressed, but you would never know how much he's actually worth because he
And
does it
his wife.
broadcast.
And I'm sorry. I know we're talking about men, but he and his wife, because I mean, it's good we're gonna come back and do women, man.
Yeah.
It's great because it is. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. My bad, brother. I'm gonna
So
stop
you good.
interrupting.
Elijah Muhammad's my number 5. Um, it just meant a lot, let's see. Muhammad Ali is number 4, just because to stand on your own convictions, knowing that you about to have the title stripped away from you, whatever endorsements you had stripped away from you, your whole career and livelihood, which is boxing, is going to be stripped from you because you felt strongly convicted. I'm not going over to fight a war for a country that does not support me and my people, and to this day still does not. You're not going to force me to fight this war for them when we can't even piss in the same bathrooms as y'all. There you go, right there. You wearing the goat right there. Muhammad Ali. Matter of fact, I met his spiritual advisor last year. In passing, his former spiritual advisor, when he was he met him in they linked up in DC. I think he told me, and like they got close ever since. And like his spiritual advisor is a physical therapist. Like that's what his profession was. But he's a doctor and he does whatever. But them two, they linked up through Elijah Muhammad, and he was his personal spiritual advisor for years. It's pretty dope that I got to meet him. Malcolm X is number 3, just because I love everything that Malcolm X stood for, but also like how even in his enlightenment, he always took time to learn and get more enlightened. So
Mm.
when hearing what Mecca was and hearing what Islam was and hearing what everything was in teaching and everything that he was taught, when he went and educated himself and found out more, he started asking questions. And that's what I loved about him. I think that's something that drives me as a person. You can tell me something. I'm gonna hear you. I'm gonna look it up myself and I'm gonna research it myself just to see how much truth is in it and what's the missing gaps. And I think as men, you need people like that around you who, hey, look, I like what you're saying, but you also need to look at it from this angle too. You know what I mean? That's one thing about you and I. We always do that. When we bounce ideas, we add a little bit more because that's how knowledge is built. Like knowledge isn't just built off of this flat book. No, you gotta put some paper, you gotta write on those pages. You know what I mean? So
Well,
that's why I always like Malcolm X. Number two, I have you. You my number two,
oh, stop, man.
and
Stop, man.
I'm dead serious. You was my number two on the list. And without like from day one we vibe, right? From day one,
Right.
hey, can I get a ride home? I don't have no car, blah blah.
Just for just for the audience, day one is over 20 years ago.
Right. And we vibe, you know what I mean? I was a young hothead. I used to ride around with a Desert Eagle 45 and a 38 special. And this guy really kept me out of prison all the time, man. Like there's a lot of dumb stories I will never tell on air. But there's some that one day I made.
Mm. So I was, me and Lonnie was just talking the other night, and I was like, I forget how you came up. I think we were talking about your books, and I was like, yo, man, you would be surprised, man, from the Kyle that is not. He's still the same Kyle, but the maturity level, and he was like, nah, stop playing. This guy that did X, Y, Z. I was like, yep, that guy that did that night with you.
But I always
I
had
was
my
like,
morals. I wouldn't like. I always had my morals. Like remember, like not to go into detail, but this is when I developed a lot of love and respect for Lonnie. But it was also I think that's when Lonnie developed that love and respect for me. Was when that whole situation happened. I was like, yo, I'm not doing that.
yeah.
And like I went and I came straight to y'all. You know what I mean? You was over Brooklyn Park. I was like, yo, this is what happened. I was like, yeah, I don't care. Like that was good. We already talked about me and her already talked about like, yeah, I'm not doing that though. Like that's you. Like I don't do that. Like if it was somebody who you didn't know, blah blah, like it would have been cool. But my respect is different. You know what I mean? Like
No doubt.
you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's what made us vibe from that point on. You know what I mean? Like even though he gave me the pass, it was like
Yeah.
I'm still not gonna do it, even though you gave me the pass because of respect.
No doubt. No doubt.
Number one is my dad.
No doubt. And should be. It should be, yo.
Yeah.
Sam just, man, like he's your father, so you have all of different views and different things and different situations, and watching myself go through fatherhood and reflecting back on certain scenarios. There's no such, I mean, we all fall short. You know what I'm saying? There is no such thing as perfect parent, perfect whatever. So it's like the biggest thing for me is to just letting my child know that I love them. I'm going to be here for you. You're going to make mistakes. You know what I mean? And I think that's the part as far as being a parent, we can't be judgmental, which we always going to work on. You know what I mean? It's just a part of growing up. And there's no book to this. There's no right or wrong. You know what I mean? Every child is different. You know what I mean? Just like every fingerprint is established for that own person, so is the same thing when we're raising kids. Like I have a girl and a boy. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I mean, and I have to explain to my son. Of course, you may seem like I'm being harder or more difficult with you, but I'm raising you to be a man in this world. You know what I mean? Whereas, and I'm sorry, it's a catch-22. I'm raising her to be a young woman. You know what I mean? So there's going to be different ways and different things that I have to do in the same scenario. You know what I mean? The same scenario. Whereas I might not talk to my daughter this way, but as my son, I'll talk to him this way. And then I had to revisit that. I had to revisit that one-on-one with my son and say, hey, Dad's not being an asshole. I have to be firm and strict because one day you're gonna be your own man with your own family. You know what I mean? So you have to, you gotta survive. You gotta figure it out. I said, we, like you and I talk about it, we wear many hats all throughout the day as a man. We're husbands, we're fathers, we're protectors, we're providers. And it's like as a man, as especially as a black man in America, like when you really think about that, our mentality, if we don't have a strong circle and a strong foundation, we can easily be broken.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's important to me and it's important to you that we have these conversations. It's important that I spend time with the people that I say I love, because love is an action word. Nobody thinks about it. It's easy to just throw that shit out there. Oh, I love you. Nah, what are you doing to show that love? And it's not monetary. It's not having sex. It's not what people think it is. You know what I'm saying? And that's the biggest problem in the black community. Like, the black community needs love. You know what I'm saying? But we have we know the system's broken, but our community is broken because we need love. But in order to be loved, you have to know what love is. You know what I'm saying? You have to really have an understanding of what love is. And it's love is, and I had a conversation with somebody the other day. I was like, love is hurtful or whatever. My cousin. And so he's like, love doesn't hurt or whatever.
Yes, it does.
So this was my scenario to him. You have a female, right, that gets pregnant, right? She said, regardless of the significant other, because I love this child, or because I love this significant person that put it in me, I'm gonna go through this 9 months of pain and the childbirth. That's pain because of love, right?
I'm going to sacrifice my last
You
dollar
know,
to provide.
because of love. Because hold on, and this was the final finality for him, where it shut him down. Childbirth is painful. I said, I said, as a man, I've never experienced, and honestly, as a man, I don't want to experience it. But I've watched it twice. I've watched it twice, and then again, this was my finale. I said, do you know that woman can die while she's giving birth? But because
surgery, because Rebecca almost died giving birth. Well, she almost died giving birth to Sage, and then she really almost died giving birth to Shiloh. And I was like, I can't do that. I can't do that to her ever again.
No doubt, man. So it's like, do you realize that they know this though? They're willing to sacrifice, you know what I mean, their life out of love for their child.
Yeah.
That's some, you know what I mean? So when we talk about,
to give me my son, you know, and I was like, I can't do this again. Like, as bad as I want a son, I was like, bro, I got Izzy. I got Izzy. You know, Anthony got his son, his son, you know, like, so I got boys around me, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, and you already know Izzy, that's been day one, you know. Ever since he was in the rocker crying all the time, oh, you trying to play Madden, you know.
Oh man, he was my Madden killer.
Yeah, Madden killer, man.
He was a Madden killer, man.
Then you hear EA supposed like,
why is this dude awake and why is he crying?
Out of nowhere, like Randy Orton.
just cause. Yeah, but I had again, Muhammad Ali, and my reason for Muhammad Ali, I'm like, and every time I wear this shirt to work or whatever, they're like, oh, he was a great boxer, and I'm like,
he was so much more.
He was. I was like, but to me, was he? Because I'm like, dare I say, I got Joe Frazier and him neck and neck, and Frazier and Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali, for the mere fact, you took everything that I had, you took everything away from me, and I still stood on my faith and my convictions of what I felt was right, was morally, consciously right for me and my people. And it's like the old saying, you stand for something or you die for or fall for anything, right? So this man stood for something, lost it all. And went and got it back, but was given an opportunity by another black man and Joe Frazier to get it back. Like people, everybody that don't know boxing history or don't know the story, I would suggest do your research, do some reading, start digging. You ain't even got to read it, Google it. Joe Frazier single-handedly is the reason for Muhammad Ali's return to boxing and return to get his money back. And then I have Dr. John Henry Clark.
Ooh.
So those that aren't familiar with Dr. John Henry Clark, I suggest again Google him. This brother is so when like me, when I start to question religion or whatever, that doesn't mean that I'm against it. I mean, just like Dr. John Henry Clark said, I ain't going to church on my own accord, but if my sister, if Mama Berkeley, if anybody asks me to go to church with them, I'm going to go because it's a nice thing to do. They extended the olive branch, so it's a nice thing to do, regardless of my own belief system, right? Mm-hmm. So, but this man, so educated, and one of the things that I always love when he's a great debater, if you don't know. All of his debates, he's never lost a debate. Let's go ahead and put that out there first. He's never lost a debate ever. He didn't debate that often because he would tell you, I only debate. I don't debate. I teach. Every debate he's ever been in, he's like, I don't debate. I teach you. I educate you. Yeah. And again, has to be an education because he's never lost a debate, right? And then the psychological effect in bringing Afro-Panism to the forefront for Black folk is very important. You know what I mean? It's important because we are a lost culture. I mean, if we're being honest, we're a lost culture. We're influenced by white America, by Italian America, by Latino America, all these sources that have their own grounding and foundation. That was stripped away from us. So we have all of everybody else's stuff and their way of life instead of our own way of life, which is the disconnect for Black folk, which is the animosity you have for a light-skinned or a dark-skinned person or just whatever. We've been brainwashed, you know what I'm saying, and it's controlled. And we still are. We see it every day, killing each other, like talking shit about each other instead of raising each other up and being positive. You know what I mean? It's just so much negative energy. That's not a Black thing. You know what I'm saying? It's not. We were love, and we were about unity and about culture and about the family unit. And that's been taken away, and we don't talk about it much, but the systems, the welfare system, and all the government system they have in place is to take away the Black man from the household. And yep. We all know that you need a man is the head of the house. Whatever religion you follow, whatever belief system you have, it all goes back to the man being the head of the house. Why is that? And so when I hear sisters, any female talk about, I don't need a man, that's a conversation. I want to have a conversation with you. Why do you feel that way? I feel like you've been tricked. You've been duped. You know what I'm saying? That's just like me saying I don't need a woman. No, I'm not one of those men to talk about. And I have a couple homeboys. You could do this on your own. You don't need a woman. It's not about doing this on my own. It's about, that's my helpmate, right?
Exactly.
So we all need help. We all fall short. You know what I mean? And I tell you often, man, I could be here and make a dumb decision, and I'm gonna go talk to my wife about it, and she gonna tell me, regardless of how my feelings may be hurt because it was my decision that I wanted to make. When I really go back and think about it, like, no, that's my helpmate. She's gonna help me see the things that I don't see. Mm-hmm. Help me make the decisions that I think in my mind are right, but she's gonna help me see a different. Oh, all right. Yep. And it's like being honest with yourself. He's like, all right, you're right. You know what I mean? But that's the whole thing about being a team. You know what I mean? Like you're not doing this by yourself, man. No. We all need somebody, but we all need each other. We all need that positive influence and to be brought back down to reality from time to time.
Oh, I made a mistake. I made a mistake too. I said what you call it? Elijah Muhammad earlier. I meant to say Louis Farrakhan.
Million Man March, baby.
Yeah, I said it, and it was crazy. I said it twice, and I was like,
I was, oh, we're gonna talk.
yeah,
I was gonna.
he should
I
be
was
on
gonna
the list.
question you about that later. I was gonna question you about that later, man. I was like, yo,
Yeah,
Elijah though.
yeah, no. I said it, and I was like, dude, that's not. I was like, it's weird. It came up my mouth twice, and I was like, dude, wait. Like, I mean, no disrespect to Elijah Muhammad, but I definitely meant Louis Farrakhan. I don't know how I said it twice like that. Especially like I set it up perfect with the Malcolm X and everything. I was like, dude, how am I doing this?
One of those things. One of those things.
One of those things. Yeah, but man, this is great. We gotta do this again next week. Let's try to bring some women on next week too, so that we could really do a real big top 10 Black women influence in our lives, man. I love this. I love this for Black History Month. Iron sharpens iron as always. I love this, man.
Sounds like a plan, brother. Sounds like a plan. All you gotta do is hit me, let me know. I'll be down. I think I might be with Lonnie next week. Next week
Oh, that'd be great.
down the shore, yeah. So I'll let you know, but I'm definitely game.
All right, I'm gonna see if I can get Odessa on here next week too. So that way she could promote what she has going on as well. I know she's doing her audiobooks right now. So I'm gonna try to see if I can get her on. I might even bring the wife on.
All right, bet, yeah. I definitely will, and I'll let you know. We'll click back up.
All right, man. Great talking to you.
Always a pleasure, brother.
All right, bro.
Peace.
Peace. Man, thanks for joining the Nameless Blog. I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna go through the honorable mentions again, and then I'm gonna go through my top 10 for everybody. So for my honorable mentions, it was Jay-Z, just because of his whole evolution as a person, and what he has meant. Well, hold on. Let's do it like this. This top 10 honorable mentions are Black men that were because it's Black History Month. I'm doing a top 10 of influential Black men into my life. Right. So if you watch the show just now, you saw that I just had our COO of Bold Print, Lamont Crosell. I had him on there. He did his as well. So I'm going to go through mine again as well, just because I did make one mistake, and I do want to rectify that mistake. So my honorable mentions, Jay-Z, just because of his whole evolution of what he's meant to people like me growing up, as far as going from hustler to rapper to businessman to now major Mongol, like just a major force. Number two, Michael Vick. I know the whole dogfighting thing and all that, which may upset a lot of people, but what he meant to me and my people growing up was seeing somebody that looked like you play quarterback at such a high level and so differently with a different vision and everything like that of the field. It just meant a lot. Number three, this is the honorable mention list again. Mike Tyson, him coming out there with shoes on, doing his thing in the ring. That was inspiring to us growing up. Number four, Michael Jordan. Just because greatest basketball player ever, he had a whole thing about him. The reason why he's not on my top 10, Michael Jordan, is for the longest time, I get the whole business part of why he didn't, but he really stayed away from like race stuff, like all the way back to the OJ Simpson murder and the Rodney King beatings and stuff. He stayed away from that, didn't really speak on it. And that was probably like one of the saddest, hardest things about Michael Jordan to me growing up, was he wasn't vocal about that. But I love what he did to the game of basketball, and I love that he made us think, dude, we could own our own shoe company one day. Like we just didn't know how. Number five, Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac. I grouped them together, just because of what they meant musically and how they painted the pictures of our youth. Number 6, Sidney Poitier. Number 7, James Baldwin. Number 8, Bill Cosby. Not because of the sexual assault stuff, which is disgusting. Um, More so because of what he did with the Cosby Show and with A Different World, which is showing us in a whole different light that we weren't used to seeing. Like this a successful black family and that has their challenges and has their traumas, but they are able to come together and do it together. And it was with black faces, and it was very intelligently put together. Um, Marcus Garvey, just because of everything that he represented and what he tried to start with, getting us to go back to Africa, retrace our roots, everything like that. Um, Levan Hopkins, just because of that whole Buy Black and Give Back campaign that he was doing in the 90s when he brought up the Checkers and the Burger Kings in the city. And he's on the radio and on the TV and he's really promoting it. And like, hey, look, let's invest this money back in our community. Let's not have other communities invest in Baltimore City. Honestly, Levan Hopkins kind of gave a lot of inspiration to Jamar's character, which we'll get into later, at a later time. Might do it next week. I don't know, but he did have some impact in Jamar's character in the series. There was a few other top tens. Of course, 50 Cent. 50 Cent is just. I've always been a huge fan of 50 as an artist, but then learning about what he had to do as far as traveling to Canada to record music and stuff like that, and what he did with Vitamin Water and like there's a lot to love about what 50 represented and his impact on the black culture. But getting into the top 10, not for his politics. I really want to repeat again, not for his politics, but for what he and Michelle represented Barack Obama. He got a whole generation of African American men, I'm talking my generation, involved in politics, interested in politics, asking questions to the point that I even ran for office and won 2 elections. I served at the level of state central committee for 2 elections. I was this close to being a senior delegate. Like when I was on the central committee, like um, I helped out with a major campaign. Well, with multiple major campaigns. Now that I think about it, I have made a lot of changes at a macro level, because of my ability to be in office, and all of that was inspired by just watching this guy say, "Yes, we can change," and it was something to see in my lifetime. Number 9, Philip Banks, even though he's not a real character, James Avery portrayal of Philip Banks in that writing was inspiring. Just this black man with a successful family that took in a kid from Philadelphia and showed him a better life. Like that meant a lot. Number 8, Martin Luther King, just because Martin Luther King did break a lot of barriers for race. I do have a lot of feelings about how it was done, just because of the pacifism and how that has impacted us today and how we are treated and how we're viewed instead of how we should be respected. And that's the reason why number 7 I have Nat Turner. There's a reason why he's not talked about in schools in elementary, middle, or high school. There's a reason why you have to Google or you have to learn about it in college or you have to go out and read books to figure out what happened with Nat Turner. And it's because what the stance that he took created fear. Fear gets reactions. So Nat Turner is number 7. My number 6 is my Uncle Tom, Thomas Garland. Millionaire, very successful man from Sumter County, South Carolina. Went to the army, got out the army, invested, continued to grow, do well for himself, grow his business, became a major Mongol, and that's my uncle. I love him. I'm proud of him. Number 5 would be Louis Farrakhan. Minister Louis Farrakhan has done so much for the Black community, both in action and in speech. I can't even quantify with words. Like, there's no way I could. And number 4 is Muhammad Ali. Again, this is another person, one of the greatest boxers of all time. I'm not willing to debate that. I'm never going to debate Muhammad Ali is always going to be my number 1 on that list. But outside of the boxing ring, what Muhammad Ali represented for decades was so much more. Even down to when him holding the Olympic flame to light the Atlanta Olympics. Like what he did, even without his voice, was groundbreaking and breathtaking. And we lost him a couple years ago, sadly. And Muhammad Ali, as a person, what he represented, what he stood for, his convictions, even with not wanting to go over to Vietnam to fight for a country that's not fighting for us, that we can't even use the same bathroom. We can't even ride in the same cars in the train. We have to sit in the back of the buses. We have everything that we have in this country, we have to fight for and get this shaft. And again, this goes back to my feelings about Martin Luther King. If there was more action involved, there would be a lot better results for our people. Looking at what Muhammad Ali represented was just amazing. Malcolm X, Malcolm X for multiple reasons. One of the reasons is taking the time to grow, learn, and realize there's more than what was presented, and wanting to educate people on the more that was presented. And that's always been my goal, was to have the knowledge that was given to me, learn more about the knowledge, and then spread that out across the world and educate the masses as much as possible. Even with what I do with my books, like, yeah, they're entertaining, they're fun, but there is a message in there if you look. And my Uncle Tom and I, we had a pretty great conversation earlier this week. And when he broke down his feelings of my books, it almost made me cry. Um, because that was my goal. And honestly, that's something that Malcolm X did influence into me. Um, Lamont, who was just on here, he's my number 2. Just because we've known each other for 20 plus years. He knew me from when I was in my teens and running the streets, doing dumb stuff and getting in all kind of real ridiculous trouble up until now. And he always has been that positive reinforcement for me not to do dumb stuff. Honestly, it's the reason why I'm not in prison right now. And number 1, and will always be number 1, my father. I know he's passed on. He's in the thereafter right now. And he has poured and added so much into my life. And I'm glad that I had a father in my life. There's so many people who didn't have fathers growing up, and my dad was a dad to all of them. And that's my top 10 for this week. I'll see you all next week. This is Nameless Blog. My name is Dr. Kyle Berkeley. You can also call me KB. Can be found on all forms of social media at Berkeley for Us, except for Facebook. On there, I'm Dr. Kyle Berkeley. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Please feel free to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Peace.